Metal Gear Solid series is one of the greatest series of all time, but I'm sure that you knew that already. So it's only natural that a franchise that has given us spectacular visuals and amazing storylines has more than a few boss fights that stick in the memory. So, just in case you hadn't noticed from the title, this is the top 15 Metal Gear Solid bosses. To make my life easier, I'm only going to focus on the main 4 Metal Gear Solid games, and I would like to point out that there will be spoilers in this list as I am including final bosses. So let's get started. It's man against machine. Or rather Raiden against 3 massive killing machines.
Bring 'em on.
So this is someone who's basically a wimp against 3 things which can kill him like that. Metal Gear Rays, they are evil. You're basically screwed. To put this fight into perspective, at the end of the original Metal Gear Solid game, you, as Snake, the spawn of Chuck Norris, fight 1 Metal Gear Rex. In the sequel, you fight 3 machines that were specifically designed to be better than the Metal Gear Rex, as someone who isn't anywhere near as cool as Snake. Before the 4th game, but we're not going into that. So yeah, screwed. That is, if Raiden didn't have the Stinger missiles. Ballistics. So suddenly, the fight that seemed impossible isn't that hard anymore. You spend half the time blasting the hell out of the Rays, and the rest of the fight running away from their relentless fire. In the end, the fight is actually really frantic, but incredibly rewarding. Think Shadow of the Colossus, but more frantic and less depressing. Not yet. He's coming up later though. This spot belongs to someone else. Screaming Mantis. The leader of the B&Bs, or Beauty and the Beasts, the main legion of bosses in Guns of the Patriots. She is certainly the most memorable and definitely the most disturbing. Like the rest of the B&Bs, she's enveloped in one particular emotion. And I'm sorry, but screaming is a lot more threatening than raging or crying. The fight itself is pretty interesting as well. Screaming Mantis can control your comrades with one of her dolls, and dead frog soldiers with the other. You only have to shoot one of them to win, but it's still a very unique concept. Once you've shot the Mantis doll, the one that controls the living, it will drop down, and you can pick it up and use it against her to finish her off. And as you may have guessed, Psycho Mantis pops up in an attempt to read your mind, but completely fails due to your updated hardware.
Damn! Your skills have improved, or rather, your hardware.
Genius. It is genius. Atmosphere, atmosphere, and more atmosphere. The fight with Olga Gurlukovich, or something like that, was certainly something different from the Metal Gear Solid series. She's the first boss in the game, and the only one you actually fight as Snake, because the rest of them you have to fight as this pretty boy. But yeah, the fight with Olga definitely left an effect on me. Rain, lightning, darkness, it all leads to an amazing setting. You confront Olga, and she attempts to shoot you with a bullet out of the end of her knife. That is when you realise this is going to be one hell of a fight. On harder difficulties, you have to be very clever and use the cover system effectively to win. It's definitely a lot better than the Gears of War one, because she becomes very difficult to beat. But on easier difficulties, she is annoyingly easy and the fight is all over way too soon. It's actually a very simple fight, you just shoot her and avoid her bullets, but it's still a very memorable fight. Whoa, wait. What is Sephiroth doing on a Metal Gear Solid list? Well, if you give me a second, I'll tell you. Sephiroth is one of those characters that the player absolutely despises with every fibre in their body. He kills someone close to you and acts like a total badass throughout the whole game. Which brings me nicely along to this guy, Liquid Snake. Like Sephiroth, he kills someone very close to you, in this case an old war buddy, but more on that later. He even spends most of his time with his shirt off, a bit like... But what makes Liquid worse in this case are 2 things. 1, he is your genetic twin brother. And 2, he's f***ing English!
Snake!
Did you like my sunglasses?
Why, Hideo Kojima, why? Do you hate English people? I bet he hates English people. With his Rex defeated, Liquid challenges Snake to a duel on top of it using just their fists, but not before he rips off Dracula.
How about you?
It's an incredibly emotional fight, as it's a fight that the whole game builds up to. It's also quite difficult as Snake can easily fall off the edge of the Rex, and you're also fighting to a time limit. The only problem with this fight is the way that Liquid dies. Oh, come on, I want blood. I want a No More Heroes-esque death. It's not very satisfying, but it does complete an incredible game. I suppose it's worth mentioning as well that the fight contains an alternative ending after you defeat Liquid. Meryl is tied up and is rescued at the end, but if Snake surrenders in an earlier torture sequence, Meryl is dead. Damn. Metal Gear Solid isn't just about cinematics and emotion. It also has a habit of being completely ridiculous. Classic case, this guy. This is some guy in a trench coat that rides around on rollerblades, drinks wine, and lays bombs all over the place. Now that is a combination. And what was this guy called?
I am Fat Man. Nice name.
Yep, his name's Fat Man. That is a name. He's named after the nuclear bomb that was dropped on Japan in the Second World War. And as you would expect, the fight with him is equally crazy. You have to neutralise the bombs he lays while dealing damage to him. Fat Man's eccentric behaviour means that it's very hard to predict where he's going to pop up next. It actually makes the fight quite challenging. He even has an awesome theme called Yell Dead Cell. But I can't help but feel that it doesn't really suit him. I mean, I think he deserves something a bit more like this. See what I mean?
I've been waiting for you, Snake.
I decided to make this list on bosses from the Metal Gear Solid series, rather than the Metal Gear series in general, because of the lack of good bosses in the first couple of games. However, there is one that was good, and that was to fight with Grey Fox. I won't go into much detail, but it was certainly one of the more memorable moments from Metal Gear 2. He's eventually blown up and presumably killed. That is, until he turns up in Metal Gear Solid, but much cooler. Decked out in awesome ninja gear, Grey Fox returns, part man, part machine. Because he's a ninja, you can't shoot him, as he will just block your bullets with his sword. That is really, really cool. Instead, you have to use your fists, just like in Metal Gear 2. And do you remember what I said about Liquid Snake killing one of your old war buddies? Well, later in the game, Grey Fox returns and he helps fight Liquid's Metal Gear Rex in an incredible cinematic display, but Liquid ends up chopping his arm off and kind of squishing him. It is definitely one of the standout moments in the series, and certainly one of the most emotional. What a butt. So I've already mentioned a fight against a Metal Gear Rex and a fight against 3 Metal Gear Rays. So as you'd expect, the series offers up a fight between the two. And it's amazing! The Ray is piloted by Liquid Ocelot, and he of course makes an understated entrance, while the Rex is given to Old Snake. It's one of the most amazing and frankly shocking moments in the series. Your Rex has lots of weapons, including a Gatling gun, missiles, and a laser. No! Pretty much the whole environment is destructible, and it makes for an incredibly frantic battle. So why is it lower on the list? Well, the controls for the Rex are a bit annoying and it can make a fight a bit frustrating at times, but when it goes well, it goes brilliantly well. There's even a moment at the end where Liquid scampers away from his stricken Ray. with Old Snake desperately trying to catch up to him.
Then he waddled away, waddle waddle.
Love it. Rage. It often doesn't get you very far, but it's quite a lot of fun. And never has this been more apparent than in the case of the Fury. I've been going on a lot about atmosphere in this list so far, but no boss, other than one or two more on this list, creates a better atmosphere than the Fury. He is some guy in a spacesuit with a jetpack and a flamethrower, but this isn't just some cheap gimmick. While Olga had a very foreboding setting, the Fury goes for something a little bit different. The whole area is pitch black and is only lit up when the Fury uses his flamethrower, and his jetpack means that he has great mobility and can come after you very quickly. There are a lot of ways to kill him, but unless you are very skilled at the game, you have to keep his distance. Could this fight get any scarier? Why yes it can! Just one more thing. The voice actor for the Fury is the same guy who did the voice for Big Boss in Guns of the Patriots.
You're going to feel the scorching heat of that horrible blackness.
It all began with a bunch of old fools.
Weird.